Hey everyone, Jack Kopansky with Pitt and Quarry here. I am at the Georgia Construction Aggregate Association's Workshop and Expo. I'm joined by Jeff Wansley, Executive Director of GCAA. Jeff, thanks for making a little time for me.
Great. No, thank you, Jack. Thanks for having Pitt and Quarry here. It's always huge to have you guys as part of the meeting. Appreciate you getting the message out about how great this conference is.
Absolutely. It's been a fantastic show so far. I know you mentioned 750 attendees, 87 exhibitors, 19 first-timers. That's awesome as well. Can you just kind of talk about, this show has really grown into, you talk to some of the people attending, and this show's really grown into one of sort of the staple shows in the Southeast U.S. And you guys have just done such a great job of developing the show into what it is. Can you talk about how this show has grown into what it is over the recent years, and talk about how this show has sort of met and exceeded your expectations?
Sure. No, thanks for asking. Again, thank you all for being here. Yeah, this is our second year in the larger space. We made that decision a couple of years ago because we started having a waiting list for our members, and we also started having people who wanted to just show some larger pieces of equipment more than a standard ballroom could show. So we made the leap last year. It was a tremendous success. We've stayed contained in the same space this year. We've met the needs of having everyone at least have a booth that wanted to have a booth, and even more large equipment this year. I think a factor of that is, number one, I think we get the right mix of people here. I know that the producers in our industry here in Georgia send the right folks to these conferences so that the associates can have the right people to interact with, just to make those business connections. So I think that's why it's been a success. I think one reason that we are the largest state association trade show in the country is simply because Georgia is a great place to do business. We, for the 12th year in a row, voted the number one state to do business in, and I think this is just a real effect of that. The fact that there is a lot of business going on in Georgia, there's a lot of growth going on in Georgia, so I think that just drives what this is. We do listen to our membership. We have a great committee that helps us with this to make sure that we have the right people here, that people want to hear from, that we have the right mix of display time on the floor, and quite frankly, the right amount of time that the show actually takes.
Absolutely. You talk about some of the growth and the opportunities that Georgia as a state has shown. Can you kind of talk a little bit about how 2025 was for, what you sort of saw from the state, what you heard from some of your members, just kind of how last year was for the state and the aggregate?
Sure. From a production standpoint, our folks were right on target with the growth that they've had in the last several years. As you all know, during COVID, we didn't shut down. Business kept going as usual, so we didn't really have to revamp up. We just built on that momentum and kept going. What we're looking at 26 now, we had a great economic update from Gary Worthington on material this morning. I think what we're looking at moving forward into 2026 is another great growth year. I will say, from the legislative side, of which GCAA is very involved in, we have an outstanding governor, Governor Kent, who again this year gave additional dollars in the state budget for transportation. We have an outstanding DOT that utilizes those dollars along with the federal dollars. So we've got a constant pipeline of projects that are coming into the state. So from everything I've heard from our folks, 2026 is going to be even better.
Yeah. Also, you kind of already touched on it a little bit, not to have you repeat yourself, but you talk about, again, some of the opportunities this year coming up, DOT, a lot of transportation work. I know you always sing the praises of GDOT. What have you maybe been hearing or seeing from your members, or sort of in the state and area as a whole, that sort of gives you some of that confidence that 2026 is going to be the strong?
Well, again, those guys knowing what the GDOT has in the pipeline, seeing the growth, seeing the projects that are taking place, seeing the growth even from the housing side of the business here in Georgia, more folks continuing to come to Georgia. We had the Hyundai plant, which was built out in Savannah, Georgia, the mega plant. That just shows kind of the boost that's even going on in the coast. Georgia's not just an Atlanta-centric state anymore. There's growth going on all over the state.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, thank you as always for having Corey out to the show. It's always great to be here to talk with you, and best of luck to GCAA and Georgia the rest of the year.
Great. Thanks for being here. Take care. Appreciate you.